And hey, folks, Russ Bailey here. Welcome to another episode of BrushPile Fishing, the video podcast. You know, folks, we always have great guests in store for you, but we have a very, very special guest today. How about Steve Coleman of the infamous Caps and Coleman fishing team? Steve's going to join us. We're going to talk the academy, talk his career, and some other things. So you stay tuned. We'll be right back with BrushPile Fishing, the video podcast. All right, folks, welcome back to BrushPile Fishing. Like to thank Bob Cycle in Sydney, Ohio for bringing us this podcast. They have been a great sponsor all year. If you get a chance, check out their building or check them out online. Again, that's Bob Cycle from Sydney, Ohio. And folks, joining us now, Mr. Steve Coleman, straight from Tennessee, Reelfoot Lake. How we doing, Steve?
Man, doing pretty good. Just got off a lake, had some motor problems today, so...
Well, you had motor problems. We had problems trying to get our connection set up here, but we're here now.
Hey, we finally got things going, so let's do this.
How's things down at Reelfoot?
Man, it's doing pretty good. Just got through with with Ryan Wong over at Blue Bank. You know, we had a rider camp over there, so we went and helped him out the last 2 days. So it's been good.
You don't have very high standards with the friends you keep, do you?
Oh Lord, what are you talking about, man? He's one of them now.
Yes, he is. Yes, and makes the best hush puppies you'll ever eat in this world, man.
He sure does. Make you fat.
So, Steve, I want to start out talking about the history of tournament fishing with you and Ronnie. And folks, don't get me wrong here, or don't misquote me. I am not cutting down live scope, okay? I've got it on my boat. I use it. Steve uses it now. Right. But it was a different time before LiveScope came into play, and you and Ronnie back then won 8 national championships, close to 80 national tournaments.
Right.
I don't know that that's ever going to be done again. And Steve, if there was one thing, just one, that you would contribute most of your success to, what would it have been?
It was probably growing up, being able to do that at a young age, you know. Because we were both born in the water, Ryan and I both, and we just, that was the way of life back then, you know. Everybody crappie fished, you know. We didn't have cell phones, video games, nothing like that, so our entertainment was on the water, and from day one, you know, we kind of learned the techniques that we needed to learn back then, old style.
And if you've got a few minutes, can you tell the folks how you guys, as young kids, got started tournament fishing against grown adults and started winning?
Oh, Lord, it was, you know, I lived on one side of the lake, Ronnie lived on the other, and, you know, we kind of fought over territory there, and we finally just joined forces. But, you know, we had a lot of help. You know, Ronnie's granddaddy was a commercial fisherman, so we stayed on the lake with him a lot, you know. He always took us hunting with him. Everywhere we went to state woods, you know, we killed a lot of squirrels. But the old commercial fisherman is the ones we really paid attention to, you know. We had a few boat docks that were still around the lake, and the boat dock is where the old Reelfoot Lake boats, you know, like little wooden boats, and everybody had rented them out every day, and you know, that was type of fishing back then, you know. Pole holders, you know, now we've got 6, 7, 8 pole holders on the front of the boat. Back then it was 3 maybe, or 4 at the most, you know. And he was young now. We watched him catch all those fish, and it was, you know, it was a competition to outdo the grown folks is what it was. So,
well, I'd say you guys did pretty well.
Yeah, we paid attention, you know, but, you know, he and I both had that drive to you know, the competitiveness just push it just a little bit further. And we just kept pushing and pushing. And, hey, we got us a little taste of a tournament one time, and that's all it took. You know, we knew we could do that. So we jumped on the wagon and we took off.
The thing that I remember, and we're going back to the old Midwest crappie days when I had Midwest crappie, but I remember doing some shows on the classics, and a couple times I would follow you guys, and the thing that stuck out to me was you guys, and again, folks, this was before LiveScope, you guys would pull up to a brush pile or an area within seconds, every rod was out. You were doing one thing, Ronnie's doing another. Seconds, you guys are set up. You're catching a few fish. You know if it's the size you want, if it's not. Within minutes, you guys have packed up and you're on to the next. It was a fine oiled machine, and that's a thing that always stuck out to me.
Well, you know, we were fishing multiple poles back then, and he and I both would just, you know, we would push those poles up to a brush top. We knew it was there. We would watch those lines to the first pole touch that brush top. And we knew that as soon as we touch it, something was going to bite somewhere, you know. And it's a frenzy for 4 or 5 minutes, you know. And you really, and by looking at them now with the live scope, what we were doing then after you caught 4 or 5 fish, they were settling back in that brush top, you know, to a safe zone. You know, that's why they quit biting. You know, you can pull back and you go push it back up there again. They get comfortable and you catch 2 or 3 more. But when the bite slowed down, hey, we was off to the next brush pile, you know.
And like I say, man, you guys did not waste time. I think in an 8-hour tournament, just how quick you guys set up and tore down to get to the next spot in an 8-hour day, that's quite a bit of time. I think you had an advantage over most teams that didn't do it that quickly, for sure.
Well, you know, practice days, we put those poles out. And if the fish were on the bank, you know, fishing jigs or, you know, minnow rigging, we would travel miles and miles of lake bank just pushing those poles, pushing those jigs until we finally figured out a pattern where they were at, you know. And sometimes it took days and days just to figure out a lake. But we had to try to do it, you know, and everybody always told us, you know, y'all gone before the sun comes up and you're not back till it goes down. So, and that's what it took.
Well, and right now, folks, I'm going to show you something that I know Steve has said this has been their bread and butter. From B&M, this is the Coleman Minnow rig.
That's right.
And tell the folks a little bit about this, Steve.
That's $1 million rigs, I like to tell you.
It's one more boats in a marina.
Right, that minnow rig right there, you know, it's an old style rig. You know, we took it off real foot when it was heavy made. You know, they used heavy wires on it. You know, they used heavy line that you could probably crank your rotor with. And Ronnie and I, we just sat down and, you know, we perfected it, you know, and B&M started mass producing those rigs for us. But if you want to put you some fish in a boat, those minnow rigs is a way to do it, you know. If you want to stock your freezer, get you some minnows and go minnow rigging, you know. It's just a slow process. It's fun with a friend or a partner or whatever, you know. You both have a good time with it. And if you want to use your forward-facing sonar, you know, you can put that on there too and still do it, you know. And where that helps you out these days, you can see those stumps coming before you run over those minnow rigs with them, you know.
Yeah.
But the minnow rigs, they've been around a long time, and they're here to stay, you know. You know, we've gone fishing live scope, you know, one pole and all that. But I still like to go to those minnow rigs, you know, every once in a while and catch a lot of fish.
Yep. You know, and back in the day, I always told people when it came to tournament crappie fishermen, there were some good teams out there. Walters and Solomon was a very solid team. You had Bunning and Bunning was solid, and there were others. But it just seemed like you had Caps and Coleman here, and then the rest of the field started down here. And I'm not the only one that felt that way. You guys, like I say, were just so successful at this. And it's amazing all the accomplishments you guys have done.
Yeah, just time on water. That's all it takes, you know. Live and breathe it, you know. Until this day, I'm still out there every day. It kills me to stay home when the wind blows sometimes, you know.
I'm going to tell you, too, folks, he's cheating when it comes to this live scope. You know, a lot of us got to learn to pitch out a certain distance and this and that to get that jig right on the fish. Steve came out with, is that a 25-foot rod?
Man, it's 24 and a half foot long.
I'm corrected. 24 and a half foot, telescopic.
Yep, that's a B&M. It's called an ambush, Caps and Coleman, what it is. And it kind of derived off the little mighty rod, you know, that B&M has. You know, it's a 20-foot rod. And I really like to use that for my customers, you know, especially on non-windy days.
Yeah.
At 20 foot from that boat, those big fish are just about ready to run. So with that 20-plus foot pole, whether it's the little mighty or the ambush, you know, 20 to 24 and a half foot, you can bite catch every one of those big fish, you know. But that first drop on that fish is the most important, you know. And that's going to come in time, you know, experience on the water. My customers that I take out on the lake, Hey, I tell them, you got an hour and a half before you can learn this. And it takes them about an hour and a half to being able to put that hook on the fish. But after that, I have not had one complaint about it,
They've got her down it then.
Hey, look here. About midday, I take the little mighty from them. It's 20 foot long. I give them the ambush, 24 and a half. And it's even sweeter then, But
I have
that fish on that line, the way it sings out across there when you get him out there at 24 foot, it's nothing like it. It's fun.
I have not got to use that yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Maybe, and we're going to talk about the academies here in a minute, folks, but we are adding a couple next year. One of them is going to be at Reelfoot. And I know, Steve, you and I are going to do a show the day before the academy starts. So maybe we can do a little showcase on that, right? Because I would love to try to use that too.
I will show you how to use it. I promise you.
All right. I want to talk about our academies, but before we do, one of the things, Steve, and I felt this way for a while now, and at our first academy, I heard you talk about it when you was giving your seminar, and you had talked about when you and Ronnie fished together, how competitive it was, and I mean, you were there for one reason, win that tournament, do what it had to take but you said now that you've cut back a little bit on tournament fishing, you're starting to see some of the things you missed, like, the eagles and this and that. And brother, I'm telling you, I know exactly, as we get a little bit older, you really start to appreciate those things on the water. And it's not just catching the fish.
No, it's not, man. I mean, it's God's country out there. And, just get out there and take it all in now, You've accomplished about everything you know how to do, and I am satisfied. I'm just going to have fun with it now, teach other people how to do it, That old Larry Ray out of Memphis, in the boat with me down here at the camp there. And the first two fish he caught on that long pole, I was looking at him and the excitement in his voice. You ever seen old bird dog shaking right, when he's on point? That's what he looked like. He was shaking in that chair, and I was watching him, and he's like a kid at Christmas now. And,
how awesome is that?
It was fun. I mean, I'd rather see them catch fish than me. Yeah.
I know now, and you're still tournament fish, but you've cut back some and you have more time for guiding. How cool is it, like you say, to see people come into the boat that don't fish a whole lot, and you can see some doubt in their eyes in the morning, but then by the afternoon when they've, caught a bunch of fish and you see their chest pumped out, that's a cool feeling, ain't it?
When they come in with the big trophy fish and they stand behind those picture taking, it's
yes, sir.
They're proud. I'm gonna tell you. And the life scope, it teaches you what's going on under that water. We can look out across there and see the trees and everything, but it's a different life under that water. You see those fish running, you see the carp running, you see the catfish, the shad, you see the way the crappie react to your bait right before they bite it. I mean, it's a lot to it, And
that's one thing we have learned a lot from the live scope for sure.
You know what goes on there now. It's a adult video game, what it is.
Yep. Well, Steve, I want to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
I don't want to keep you all day, but I wanted to talk about, you have participated now in all of our BrushPile fishing academies, and we've had them on we have had them on Green River Lake and Dale Hollow, and we are extending. Next year we're going to have 4, including we are adding Reelfoot to this. You've got to see, again, the people come into the classroom and the time that we spend in the classroom and then time on the water. As an instructor, what are your thoughts so far on how things have went?
I think it's top class. Your students come in and, some of them know a little bit about it and some of them are real green. But that classroom work and that time on the water with them, they got to drive. Every one of them that I've seen that's coming there and left, I mean, there's no complaints, against that anyway. But the camp itself is phenomenal. I mean, the products that these students get, it's I mean, it's mind blowing. If you've never been to one, you need to come to one. And the one next year on Reelfoot, we're over in the eastern part of the United States in the little deep water lakes, and Reelfoot's going to be a different one. It's going to be shallow water fishing, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to tell you, it's a little bit different. Those deep water fish can be hard to catch sometimes, but these shallow water fish, Any guy that knows just a little bit about fishing is going to be able to catch them. So real foot's going to be a blast. And that time of year, it's going to be big fish. So
I absolutely cannot wait. And that's the thing, folks. We're switching some things up. You know, we've had the Dale Hollow in the spring. Well, now we're having one in the spring at Dale Hollow and also in the fall, because it's two different patterns that you'll be fishing. So you're going to learn things at each one. We've also had Green River always being a fall academy. So you really didn't get them shallow fish as much, but next year we're having Green River Lake. That's going to be a spring academy, which is different. And then, like I say, we've added Reelfoot. I cannot wait to get to Reelfoot. And the thing too, Steve, that people don't realize is once you get to the academy, you don't have to worry about anything. We have all your bookwork in front of you. We have copies of all the instructors' lessons plans. We have time on the water. They don't have to worry. We all have our boats. Lodging. I know at Reelfoot we're going to be staying at Blue Bank. You don't get much better than that. Food. Oh my goodness. They're going to eat like kings when they're there. And everything when you get there, we want these people to be as comfortable as can be and to concentrate on learning new techniques and patterns and classroom stuff. And I do. I'm proud of what we've done as far as set up that thing. But the other thing that I like, and I see this every class, you know, day one, Stephen, you've seen them in the morning. Everybody's sitting in their chair. Nobody's talking to each other. They don't know each other. And by lunchtime, there's a little conversation. By the last day, they're all cutting up, and they become a family. When they leave here, they're all now friends on Facebook. You know, it's been great. That part of me I really love.
Right. I've got some of the students coming to Reelfoot before long. They want to get back to Reelfoot. Right. Mm-hmm.
How awesome is that, man?
It is. It is now.
And I tell you, folks, this latest academy, which just occurred a couple weeks ago at Green River Lake, we had our first ever female student, and she was a go-getter. She is a kayak person, and get out of her way. If there's fish to be caught, you better get out of Madeline's way, because she's going to push around and get them.
Yep. She's coming to Reelfoot.
Is she really? That is awesome.
Yep.
And folks, since our academy, you know, we're friends on Facebook. I've seen some of her posts, and she's been out on that kayak practicing some of the things. I've seen the B&M rod in the background, and she's catching some nice crappie right there in Kentucky. So it is so cool to see these people go and try some of the things that they learned and be successful at it.
That's right. And these sponsors that we have, they are phenomenal. I mean,
folks,
the product that they have every morning when they come to classroom, they've got new products sitting on those desks. I mean, it's like Christmas, you know.
Well, I'll tell you now, we've got 4 for next year. You going to be at all 4?
I'll be at all 4 of them. Yes, sir.
There you go, folks. Where are you going to go and get to spend time with an 8-time national champion, a guy that's won close to 80 national tournaments, and get in the boat with him, go do some fishing? So I'm excited about the Reelfoot. I really am. And Steve, like I say, the day before I'll get there, we'll shoot a show, and I'm going to learn to use that 24.5-foot rod.
24.5, that's right.
Steve, is there anything you'd like to add?
Man, let's just say, just stay on the water and enjoy life. That's all I can tell you. You know, slow down a little bit and see what's around you. You know, you and I both know that the further you age, you know, at that time ahead of you is getting short. So enjoy life.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know, as I look back on all the years of doing the show and stuff, you know, and again, catching the fish, of course, it's been a blast. But all the friendships I made, and still keep in touch with them rednecks like John Harrison and all the rest, you know, it has just been, I've got friends that you can never replace, and that's for sure. And you do. The older you get, you really appreciate him even more.
Yep. Old John Harrison now, since you mentioned that name, he is one of a kind now. You will never find another one like him.
Thank goodness, Steve. Thank goodness. He actually called this morning. I talked to him for a little bit. So, but Steve, as always, it's good to talk to you. I appreciate you being on the podcast. And brother, I can't wait to see you at the next academy, and especially the Reelfoot Academy that's in the fall of 2025.
Come on, let's have a blast.
Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed it. Steve, it's been great talking to you. Stay tuned. And, folks, if you don't have the BrushPile app, make sure you get that for your phone. It is completely free, whether you have an Android or an Apple product. It's got so many great features on it, including our guide section. If you've seen a show that we've done or you see Steve, we've got a guide section. You go there, it'll give you a bio of the guide. You can actually book a trip with them right through the app. Again, completely free. Steve, once again, thanks for joining us, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Folks, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back again with BrushPile Fishing, the video podcast.